never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I figure since bowl games start 1 week from tomorrow, today here on the channel I would talk about some of the intriguing bowl games. I'm not going to talk about nowhere close to all of them because there's 40 plus bowl games, but I am going to talk about some of the ones that are intriguing in some way, shape, or form. But before I do that, let me first say that my wife and I have a wedding anniversary coming up in a week and a half, and we are going to go to a brand new restaurant that is not far from us, and I'm going to try my best to do some kind of video either before we go in, while we are there, or after we leave on that day. So please stay tuned for that. I love talking about food, so I'm going to try to do that on the day of our wedding anniversary, which is coming up in about a week and a half. And if you have any thoughts on the whole Deion Sanders thing, please feel free to let me know. You got to give Deion Sanders credit because a lot of coaches will come out to the media and swear up and down they're not leaving their current school to go somewhere different, and then the very next day they'll leave. Or they'll hold a team meeting and they'll tell their team, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I plan on being your coach next year, and then they'll leave the very next day. Deion Sanders actually sat down with Jackson State and told the whole team, hey guys, I'm leaving. I'm going to Colorado. So he did do things the classy way, the right way, and he also got to Colorado and basically in a roundabout way came out and told the players, you guys might as well all transfer because you suck. Now, he didn't say those exact words, but that's basically what he said. He told the whole team, you suck. Now that I'm here, you're not going to play. So it will be interesting to see how many players actually do transfer, because Colorado's so bad that if the players do transfer, nobody's going to want any of them. But there's already been over 200 players who have inquired about going to Colorado now that Deion Sanders is the coach. But the way this thing is looking right now, it's going to go one of two directions. It's either going to work to perfection and Colorado's going to be a top 5 team in 5 or 6 years, or it's going to be an absolute unmitigated train wreck. And he's going to get fired in 3 or 4 years because they're going to be as bad as they are now. There's not going to be any 6-6, 7-5, 8-4 years. It's either going to work great or it's going to fail miserably. But Colorado is the right school to make this hire, the right school to make this move, because most people don't remember that Colorado actually won a national championship in 1990. And for the past 32 years since that happened, for the most part, they've been absolutely terrible. So if they do bring in Deion Sanders and he does suck, and they're no better in 5 years than they are right now, it doesn't matter. Their last 15 coaches have all sucked, so why is he any different? But if it does work, they look like complete geniuses. But on to some bowl game discussion. The first bowl game, as I said, is 1 week from tomorrow. Coming up Friday, December the 16th, it is the Bahamas Bowl between the Miami of Ohio Redhawks and the UAB Blazers. Now, we have a lot of intriguing bowl games that I want to try to keep my eye on, and I just hope that it ends up being both teams at full speed. And what I mean by that is you have a lot of players now that refuse to play in bowl games, especially ones that think they have a bright NFL future. They just don't want to play in a bowl game. And this is the kind of thing that's happened now because of the playoffs. And it's going to get even worse when we go to 12 teams, because when we go to a 12-team playoff, any New Year's Six bowl game is going to be part of the playoffs. So anybody that doesn't play in one of those New Year's Six bowl games is going to feel like their bowl game is meaningless. So even when you have a team like Kansas, who generally would be excited about going to a bowl game because they suck every year, well, all of a sudden, when all the talk is about all the teams playing in the playoffs, your bowl game on December 28th is not going to mean anything. So when they do expand to 12 teams, they might as well just eliminate every other bowl game. So now you have players feeling like their bowl game means nothing. So you see more and more players now that just opt out and decide not to play. So on paper, a game may look intriguing, but then come the day of the game, all of a sudden it's not intriguing because half the players aren't playing. It's intriguing for next year if you're a fan of one of the teams, because if the juniors and seniors aren't playing, you get to see the underclassmen that are going to be the starters for next year, so you know how good or bad they're going to be. But if you're just a college football fan and you don't like either team, you just want to see a good game, you don't want to turn it on and see the backup quarterback, the backup running back, the backup kicker, the backup punter. You want to see the starters. So when I talk about these games, I am hoping that it's full speed ahead and both teams will have their full roster on the field playing the game. First, we have the Fenway Bowl, which, of course, if you can't tell by the name, is played at Fenway Park. It's Cincinnati and Louisville. And the reason why this game is intriguing, and I've got a great idea to go along with it, is because Louisville's coach was Scott Satterfield. Well, earlier this week, Scott Satterfield left Louisville to go become the new head coach of Cincinnati. So in the Fenway Bowl, you're going to have Scott Satterfield's old team versus Scott Satterfield's new team. So I think what they should do is make him coach both teams. Coach Louisville in the first half, and that's his way of telling the players, bye, sayonara, see you later, have a nice life. And then the second half, coach Cincinnati, and then you can get acquainted with all your new players and new coaching staff in the second half of the game. Be a great idea. And then we have the Birmingham Bowl, Coastal Carolina versus East Carolina. Actually, two well-balanced, well-coached, evenly matched football teams, but Coastal Carolina has lost their head coach, Jamie Chadwell. I'm still not sure whether or not he's going to coach in this bowl game. I'm going to assume he's not, but I have not done enough research yet to see whether or not he's going to coach in this game. But if he does not, it'll be interesting to see how Coastal Carolina plays without Jamie Chadwell. And I'm still not convinced that he took a step up. I know he took a step up money-wise because Liberty is going to pay him way more than Coastal Carolina did, and more than they can. But usually when a coach leaves a smaller school is for a step up. And to me, coaching Group of Five Coastal Carolina and coaching Group of Five Liberty is about the same. So honestly, I'm surprised he took the job because other than the money, it's not a step up. It's the same job. Then we have the Military Bowl, Duke versus Central Florida, and I just think that's going to be a great football game. And Duke's coach, Mike Elko, definitely coach of the year. You're talking about a team that was flat out awful in 2021, and this year they were picked to win 4 or 5 games max, and they're an 8-win football team. Then we have the Holiday Bowl with Oregon versus North Carolina, and there might be 500 points scored in that game. And then we have the Texas Bowl with Texas Tech versus Ole Miss. Alamo Bowl, Washington versus Texas. The Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl, 2 former ACC bitter rivals come together as a former ACC team. The Maryland Terrapins play the NC State Wolfpack in the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. Of course, last year in the Mayonnaise Bowl, Shane Beamer agreed to have a whole tub of mayonnaise dumped on him when the Gamecocks won the game. There's just no way I would do that. You could pay me $975 million, and I am not letting somebody drop a 50-gallon tub of mayonnaise on me. Nope, ain't happening. So hopefully that'll happen again this year because it's fun to see these coaches have this mayonnaise just rolling down their body, but I wouldn't do it. And then we have the Gator Bowl with the South Carolina Gamecocks versus the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And the reason why this game is intriguing is because these are the 2 teams that beat Clemson, South Carolina and Notre Dame, and now they're playing in a bowl game. I'm sure they're not playing in the bowl game because they both beat Clemson, but that is something that you don't usually see, is 2 teams that play each other in a bowl game, and both of those teams beat the same team in the regular season. And then we have the first true Orange Bowl ever. And I say that because we have the Orange Bowl with Clemson versus Tennessee. Of course, we know the only true orange is Clemson. And then Clemson wears the uniforms, and after they get washed 4 or 5 times and the color starts to fade, they sell the jerseys and the pants to Tennessee. And that's why theirs look more like the burnt orange, because it's Clemson faded orange. Now, Clemson has been designated as the home team in the Orange Bowl, which comes up 3 weeks from tomorrow on Friday, December the 30th, which is New Year's Eve. So I'm going to guess, since Clemson is the designated home team, that they will wear the orange, and Tennessee's probably going to wear white. But I think since both teams wear orange and it's the Orange Bowl, both teams should be decked out in complete total orange, and we would have the first ever true Orange Bowl with oranges on the sideline and orange on both sidelines. And the funny thing about this game is both of these teams lost to South Carolina. The Music City Bowl, Iowa versus Kentucky. And this game is intriguing because both teams are at best average on offense, but both teams have a really good defense. So this game might be the first team to 17 points wins the game, especially if Will Levis doesn't play, and it's looking like he won't play because he has declared himself going to the NFL draft. And typically, usually, most of the time, once players come out and say, I'm entering the draft, they don't play. And then Iowa's backup quarterback, Padilla, has announced he's transferring, and their starting quarterback, Petras, is banged up. So if Petras can't play, then come the Music City Bowl, we'll have Kentucky's backup quarterback against Iowa's third string quarterback. So you're going to have two teams that are already only average on offense with backup quarterbacks. So yeah, that should be about a 10-7 football game unless there's special teams plays or turnovers. And then Tulane is the highest seeded group of 5 team this year, which they shouldn't be. That should have been the Roadrunners of UTSA, but UTSA came on a little too late in the season, and Tulane was consistent all year long, and they will play in the Cotton Bowl since they are the highest seeded group of 5 team. And in case you're wondering about the Orange Bowl, as of right now, of course, things can change depending on if any players on either team decide to opt out of the bowl game. But as of right now, last night, Clemson was favored by 4.5 with one betting service and favored by 2.5 in another betting service. So as of right now, Clemson's picked to win, but they're picked to win in a close football game, and hopefully it will be. But all that orange is going to make that one pretty stadium. There's nothing like the color of orange, especially the real orange. Any thoughts on any of these bowl games or maybe other bowl games? Please feel free to let me know. And I'm just specifically talking about the bowl games, not the playoff games. And that's why I didn't mention either playoff game, because to me, the bowl games are separate than the playoff games, even though they call it whatever bowl game it is. It changes every year. It's always 2 different bowl games. Each year it rotates for the New Year's 6. So each year it's different, but whatever you want to call it, they'll call it the Pete's Bowl, they'll call it the Rose Bowl, they'll call it the Sugar Bowl, whatever year it is, but still, it's a playoff game. So I am specifically talking about the bowl games, not the playoff games. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Scientists have discovered what is believed to be the world's largest bed sheet. They'll have more on this story as it unfolds. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.